Hi, my name is Olumide Ajala, and I'm your host on the IT Journeys and Convos podcast. Join us as we talk to professionals who have leveraged their IT skills to elevate their careers over the years. Today, I'll be speaking with Kaase Gbakon. Kaase has just completed his PhD in Petroleum Economics Management and Policy with a focus on energy systems modeling. Cassie is a data analysis expert with skills in commercial analytics, leading strategic projects for investment decisions in the oil and gas industry. Cassie has many years of experience under his belt, leading and delivering on specialist projects within the oil and gas industry. Cassie lives in Saskatchewan, Canada, with his twin daughters. And when you can't find him on LinkedIn sharing his insights on data analysis, you will find him playing in the world of Peppa Pig and Elsie and Anna with his amazing twin daughters. So join me in welcoming Kaase Gbakon.
Thank you very much, Olumide. Thank you. My pleasure and excited to be here.
All right, amazing. Right, Cassie. Right, real quick. Could
Yeah.
you tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your career history, a little bit about
Mm.
how you got found yourself in the world of data analysis?
Okay. Thank you very much. A little bit about myself. Like you read out my profile, I just defended my PhD thesis in energy systems modeling, which, on the sound of it may not sound like directly data analytics, but I assure you it is very heavily data intensive. But before I got to that point, I spent quite a while in the energy industry, where I was involved mostly with what you would call decision analytics or decision support, where essentially you're working with large data sets and conducting analysis on data to be able to inform strategic decision making at the corporate level. So my experience has largely been in the energy industry. By training, my degrees are in electrical engineering, and then software engineering. Then I have a master's degree in petroleum economics, and then now completing the PhD. So, with this background, I've spent a lot of my career, even when it wasn't directly related to data analysis, it always intersected somehow with data analysis. But I would say that as per my background, when I started with data analytics, really um, giving it real application to energy industry use was in my career within the national oil company at the corporate strategy level. So that's just a bit of my background, where I've come from, and what um, uh, where I am currently.
All right, that's amazing, Cassie. My next question is what inspired you to
Yeah.
specialize in harnessing data for career success? What is it specifically in your career that made you really want to specialize in harnessing data?
Oh, now that's a very beautiful question, and you know, reflecting on my career journey, of course, as I had to do, given the new year coming into just the new year, I would say that I had a lot of great mentors. That's for sure. That's the first thing I would say, because when I think back to high school, what is called high school in North America, or it's secondary school, I particularly recall a series of career lectures we had, or career sessions, conferences, where you have an industry person will come and give a career talk. And there was once someone came who was a mathematician basically, and he gave a talk, and I was really inspired and moved by what he said, and he painted a world where you could use numbers to shape and guide decisions. He conveyed and explained major events in world history, talking about the great world wars, trade actions, um, you, you know, uh, expansion of the British Empire, the maritime exploits of the British Empire, and what have you. And he all linked all of these things to mathematical concepts and to data analysis. And I was really intrigued. So this kind of like motivated me. And then, of course, um, going on to study what it is I studied, engineering, of course, you get to further deal a lot with numbers. And then before long, it didn't take me long to realize that this skill or asset was really, really key, because then it gave you a voice in a room, and it made people to listen to you when you spoke from a facts-based position, from a position of having done your homework and analysis. And so I guess these are the factors that came together to for me to realize that, oh, hang on, this was something that I actually loved doing. Was Had great mentors that had pointed me in that direction, and it turned out I really enjoyed doing it. And I've been doing it for all this time, and here we are.
Amazing,
Yeah.
Cassie. Amazing, really amazing. This is very inspirational and very enlightening, right?
Mhm.
So I want to ask, right? I mean, now we can see how data analysis, has shaped your career progression and helped you out,
Yeah,
right? But I
that's
want
right.
you to
That's right.
share with us a specific example of how data analysis led to a significant career decision of success for you, right? How
Mm,
data analysis um, led to career success for you,
yeah, for me.
right? So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No,
share a
yeah. I mean,
specific example.
I can think of a number, but the one that comes to mind readily was from, I'd say, 10 years ago now. Actually, um, I was still it, I was still deeply with the energy industry, with the national oil company, and I wanted to make a career, change, a career pivot. I'd been working in a core engineering function, and I wanted to switch over to something more strategy, more corporate wide, more business side of things. And the first thing I did was to carry out a scan of my environment, right? And the scan essentially was to try to identify the kinds of persons that went on to have leadership positions, the kind of skills they had. I tried to make a scan of what it would take to get to that level. And I think in terms of career progression, I can say that was a very significant moment where I had actually turned my skills of data analysis inwards on myself and carried out an analysis of where I was within the organization, relative to the rest of the organization. So this was in certain ways like what today we would say HR analytics, although I didn't call it that at that at the time, but that's essentially what it was. And realizing this, I then set out a plan that eventually saw me transition into the business side of of the company, and that's where I think my career actually took off. I
Okay.
had done an environmental scan of my corporation and realized the skills and attributes of those that had ascended to leadership positions. All right. And I was able to pick out some of the skills they had. They usually combined their technical skills with business savvy, business knowledge. Right. I also found out that one of the key things that was missing, especially on the business side of things, was the ability to combine the data analysis aspects of the business with actual making of business decisions. So
Mm.
a lot of the folks that could communicate and make convincing arguments, unfortunately did not have the ability to conduct the research and the data analysis required to support those arguments. And a lot of people that could conduct the research and analysis to enable business decisions usually had difficulty communicating what they had done.
Mm.
And so I saw this as a gap that I could leverage, and I set out to develop myself. So that was where I had turned the skill of data analysis inwards to myself to carry out a scan, and then of where the issues were missing or the skills that were missing, and then develop those same skills. Then, of course, I went through a process that eventually saw me on the business side of things. It didn't take long to get recognized that, hey, I could actually understand the business, conduct research and data analytics, and actually then communicate those results to decision makers in a clear way they could understand. And like like pronto, I would say, that I became sort of like a darling, because here was someone
Interesting.
that could actually understand what leadership was saying and what they wanted, and then translate it into a model and an analytic form, churn out the result, and bring the outcome to support a decision one way or the other. Of course, it took a learning process to understand the bits and pieces that you needed to put in or to take out to communicate those results. But summarily, this was a time in my life when my career growth, when I actually used data analysis to analyze my own self and my own position within the corporation or within the company and chart a career pivot. So that's where I think it worked out great for me. And it's something that, as we discuss going forward, I would encourage, you know, all data analysts and those involved in the analytics field to um, consider doing.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Cassie. And it's not
Yeah,
just data analysis, right? It's something which I tell a lot of people that one key thing for everything that we do, we should always consider that we're doing it for the business, and
yeah, sure,
business
sure.
decisions have to be made. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever you're doing, keys greatly into helping the organizations make key business decisions, right? And
True,
if you can
true, true.
communicate that appropriately, right, and in a
Mm-hmm.
way that the business leaders understand what you're saying,
That's right.
right, so you
Mm-hmm.
can do the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
work of churning out the data,
Yeah,
analyzing it. You can also do the work of communicating
communicating it.
what the insights from that data is, right, and how it helps business make decisions, right, then you're on your way to career success, right? So
That's
thank
correct.
you for that. Thank you for that, Cassie. That's an amazing way to put it. um
Thank you. Thank you.
we want to talk
Mm-hmm.
quickly about skill development. So it's amazing, all these things we've spoken about them. We've spoken about how
Mm-hmm.
you need to, build your analytic skills. You also need to build
That's
your
right.
communication skills, right? These are just two
That's
things,
correct.
right? But I want to
Mm-hmm.
ask you, as someone who has succeeded in this career, right, and still on your path to success, right?
Yeah, yeah.
What key skills do you believe are essential for someone who is looking to harness data analysis for career success? So, say the person,
Mm-hmm.
so there are two worlds I see with this. There are people who are sitting down and saying, hey, I'm a data analyst, I'm analyzing data. While there are other people who are not strictly data analysts, but their roles are generating some kind of data, and they need to use
Mm-hmm.
data to do some things, right? So take
That's correct.
instance in the financial sector, in insurance, looking to use data analysis as a leverage for their career success.
For their career growth. Okay. It's that's a very important question. I mean, from my own experience, speaking from my own experience, usually there's a path. When you start out, there's a lot of focus on developing what we would say are the technical aspects
Mm.
of the spectrum of skills you require, and it's those technical aspects that first can get you noticed. So before you can say you are a data analyst, of course, you have to be able to do the work, right? So those technical skills are really critical. So there's no running away from that. You have to have those technical skills. You have to have those developed, at least to the minimum level to which you need to be able to deliver on your own job tasks or your own assignments. But beyond that, right, then comes in what is usually called the soft skills now. So the ability to communicate, and then the ability to make presentations. Of course, with multimedia now, there are various forms of communication. So it's not just the ability to be able to speak properly. You have to be able to write and communicate properly. You have to be able to put together presentations properly. And now with post COVID and all of this happening remotely, like we are having now, you have to be able to develop the confidence to sit in front of a camera, and you have to get comfortable hearing your own voice. Okay. Um, so that those are things, those are all parts of the package of communication. Um, Another thing that I think played out very critically was also not to, the word is to say network, but I would like to go just beyond network and really say get to know the people you work with, develop contacts. So when you walk into a room, don't just be faced or focused on delivering your presentation or delivering on your analysis. Get to actually meet the people that will be impacted by what you are going to be discussing. Get to know them, at least even if it's a slightly personal level, how they are doing in their own personal lives. Get to know them, right? And there are various avenues for doing this. There's the formal networking events. There are the conferences you could attend. There are office socializing events you could be a part of, but get to know people and share with them what you are capable of doing. Because in the long run, these are the things that will stand you out. You need to be able to develop a strategy where people speak highly of you even in your absence. That opens lots of doors, and I can say so from personal experience. I walk into rooms and people say, "Oh yes, they've heard my name, um, and they are familiar with my capabilities and what I can bring to the table." And some of them I have never met before, so it means that someone must have put in a good word for me. So getting to know people is really critical in this line of business. Um, then, of course, I would say stay humble, avoid the pitfall of hubris. Yeah, because data analysis actually can confer on you some sort of superpowers, sort of,
Mm.
and I could see that play out a lot in my role. Because a lot of times, you based on the things you analyze and based on the research you bring out, um, a lot of decision making revolves around some of the things you would point out and say. And so, one can sometimes tend to want to, if not careful, have a bit of hubris. But stay humble, stay level headed, and um, just get on with what you need to do. But also realizing that your stakeholders are really important. So I mean, so those are some of the skills I would say are needed. It's a total package. I could go on and on, but there are several aspects to it. But like I said, starting out, the focus will be on the technical skills. As you progress through, then you realize that there are other, um, you know, you may want to call them additives if you want that you need to put into the mix or to the blend.